Conclusion. Working after retirement can provide great opportunities to work on your own terms. Companies appreciate the value older workers bring to the table. There are many ways you can work online. You can work on your own terms. You can work on your own schedule, because the internet has just made remote work so much more flexible and lucrative. You can also look into building passive income systems. If you are sick and tired of having to actively work for your money, creating online passive income through online publishing and other methods is definitely a great option. With that said, use the information above to zero in on remote income options that make the most sense in your situation. You can take a long, hard look at your personal circumstances and look for the right fit. Just because other people are doing it and generating good results, it doesn't necessarily mean that it would be right for you. You have to look at the totality of the situation. Make sure that everything fits just right so you can take advantage of the right opportunities and produce the right outcome. The best part? You got to learn something new. Just because you're a little older doesn't necessarily mean you have to be old. People become old when they shut their minds to new possibilities. People become old when they refuse to learn. People become old when they become stubborn and insist on hanging on to what they think they know. When you put yourself out there as an online worker, you basically get paid to learn. You basically get paid to push out of your mental and emotional comfort zone, and things become possible. You start looking at the world with a tremendous amount of possibility and a sense of adventure. General freelancer. This is a general heading for senior citizens looking to do work on the internet. There are many different types of freelance jobs you can take, but there are general similarities. When you work as a freelancer, you work based solely on your own time. What kind of jobs can you do on a freelance basis? Generally speaking, the most common freelance work available online involves writing. Please understand that there are many different types of materials people hire writers for. Here's a short list of freelance writer work currently available: academic writing, screenplay, grant proposals, technical specifications, technical manual writing, legal contracts, demand letter or formal legal pleadings, online content, books, novels, personal biographies or memoirs, online guides, business plans, business proposals, service proposals. The list above is just a short list. Let's put it this way: as long as something needs to be written in English, it can be outsourced to you. Requirements. There are no formal education requirements to be an online writer. In fact, I know people who only have a high school diploma, and some barely have that diploma, who are pulling in 5 figures. The great thing about online writing is it all boils down to the quality of your output. That's all the customer cares about. Other variations. There are many other variations of freelance writing work. You don't necessarily have to write the materials yourself. You can be any of the following: editor, transcriber, proofreader, transcriptionist, ad writer, copywriter, copy reader, project brief writer. As you can tell from the other subsidiary projects above, the writing portion is just a small fraction of the overall project. There are so many variations to writing work, and believe me, the internet will never run out of demand for writers. How come? It all boils down to basic English communication. Companies know that they need to present their ideas in a professional way. They know that they need to be understood effectively and efficiently. This, of course, requires people to communicate effectively. Requirements. You should also invest in Whitesmoke or Grammarly. These are online grammar checkers that will help you clean up your output. I don't care how polished of a writer you think you are. Everybody's got rough edges. Introduction. As more and more baby boomers retire, a lot of them are facing a key question. A lot of boomers have stashed away enough cash to comfortably support them throughout their golden years. Many have invested in 401k plans. Others have very robust IRA packages. Unfortunately, there's a huge chunk of senior citizens who have underfunded pensions. A lot of them are simply relying on Social Security. Others may have private pensions that don't really pay all that well. Not surprisingly, a significant percentage of baby boomers who are now retiring only choose to semi-retire. They still work upwards of 20 hours every single week to essentially supplement whatever pension funds they're getting from the government or from private sources. On the other hand, there are a lot of senior citizens who simply have a lot of time on their hands. They don't need money because they're well taken care of by their retirement plans. That's not the issue with them. The issue is, what do they do with their time? Regardless of which group you belong to, if you're a senior citizen, you should definitely look into working from home using the internet. There are many work-from-home jobs available out there, and the key is to use these opportunities to maximize your personal potential. You may not need the money, but you can definitely use the engagement. Why wouldn't you want to work on something that engages your sense of curiosity, adventure, and possibility? Wouldn't it be awesome to work on something that produces money while at the same time pushes you to be as creative and as imaginative as before? If you answered yes to any of the questions above, earning an online income may be the answer you're looking for, bookkeeper or tax accountant. If you have a specialized knowledge regarding accounting or you were a CPA or a bookkeeper before, you can work from home offering this type of service. Basically, people need bookkeepers, and unfortunately, nearby bookkeepers cost a lot of money. Also, this type of service can easily be done online. You just send out digital packages. As long as you have the skills to do this, you can provide it through the internet. 2 models. There are 2 service provision models for people looking to become online bookkeepers or tax accountants. Use an agency or provide it directly yourself. Going through an agency. The great thing about becoming part of an online bookkeeping or accounting agency is that you don't have to worry about where your next project's going to come from. They do promotions and they basically will market themselves, so they get a steady stream of clients for you. The downside to working with an agency is that a significant chunk of your income will go to the agency. Going your own way. The great thing about offering your own tax accounting and bookkeeping service directly to the general public is the fact that you don't have to split your fee with anybody. The downside to this is that you have to know online marketing well for you to earn using this technique. Otherwise, it's going to be tough for you to earn money as a tax accountant or bookkeeper. You have to have the right marketing skills to make this happen. See the marketing section later in this training. Online tutor or teacher. There are many disciplines requiring tutorial assistance. Generally speaking, these boil down to science, math, and English. If you are good with written English or spoken English, you can become an online tutor. 2 types of tutoring platforms. If you're looking to tutor people through the internet, please understand that there's really only 2 platforms for this. You have to choose wisely, otherwise you might not make much money as an online tutor. Type number 1, go through an online agency. The great thing about signing up for an online tutoring agency is that they will find clients for you. You don't have to worry about finding a student. Your main worry is to get accepted into an online tutoring platform. Type number 2, go your own way. The alternative to using an agency is to go your own way. In other words, you put up your own website and you market your online teaching and tutoring services directly. The great thing about this approach is you get to charge more money. Remember, when you're using any kind of agency, you are splitting the fee with the agency. Unfortunately, in an agency environment, they set the fee. If the fee is very low so as to make their services more affordable, guess who takes the hit? That's right, you do. So when you market directly to your potential students, you earn more money and you keep more money. Another advantage is you don't have to worry about personality and temperament issues because ultimately, you either convince the student to hire you or you don't. You don't have to go through some sort of bureaucracy or attitude test. The downside to going your own way is that you have to know how to market online. You may have to spend a lot of money on Facebook ads and Google search ads to get customers. If you don't know what you're doing with online marketing, you might end up paying too much money only to have very little to show for it. Other work-from-home opportunities. If you want to work at home, there are many different options available to you that can involve a hybrid of online visibility and offline work. What follows is just a general sampling of this type of hybrid opportunity. Keep in mind that these opportunities require real work. You have to physically be somewhere. You're basically back to active income in the sense that you are trading in your time for money. The only online dimension to this is that people will find out about your service through the internet. Catering, baking, and cooking. If you have a Facebook account, you can use Facebook to offer catering services. Facebook is geared towards local businesses, so when people look for local catering and baking or cooking services, they can find your business. You can sell prepackaged meals that you prepared in advance, or you can rent yourself out as an on-site chef or cook. If you're going to go into this kind of business, make sure you look for competitive pricing. Childcare. You can offer childcare services out of your home. However, make sure you comply with local licensing rules. There are also potential insurance bond issues that you need to comply with. Care for pets. You can also set up your home as some sort of doggy hotel. There is a tremendous amount of demand for this type of service. You can also walk people's dogs for them or otherwise take care of their pets as a pet sitter. You can advertise these services on places like Craigslist. Depending on your jurisdiction, you might have to get a permit and insurance. You also might have to get certain modifications to your premises built. Handicrafts, painting, and music. If you are in any way creative, you can just create music or graphic arts packages and sell these online. There are lots of people looking for royalty-free music. You can either join a website that acts as a clearinghouse for this type of material, or you can sell it through your own site. Mechanic services. If you love cars, you can advertise on Craigslist to be a drop-in mechanic. Now, please understand that people would pay good money for this because you are actually visiting them and doing repair work on their car. The same possible legal issues of pet sitting apply here as well. Gardening services. You can offer informal gardening services through the internet. There are a lot of people who need certain plants trimmed or their lawns mowed. This can be lucrative, but your service page has to be very visible online. Become an online seller. Online commerce is here and is here to stay. It's getting larger and larger. Wouldn't you want to get a nice piece of that pie? The problem with online selling. The problem with most online sellers is that they think they have to do all sorts of things to sell online. This means they have to hang on to inventory, prepay for it, store it in a warehouse, physically handle the stock, deal with returns, refunds, and all sorts of customer support headaches. On top of all this, they face a tremendous amount of competition regardless of their niche. It is no surprise that initial adopters of online stores or early online store builders tended to fail. Fast forward to today. Now, more online sellers are making money reliably, predictably, and profitably. What changed? 2 words: dropshipping. Dropshipping explained. Dropshipping is a fulfillment method. Basically, you put up a website to attract traffic and buyers from the internet. They can find you through search engines or social media. When they find your store, they can see your products. If they like a product, they can click a button to order it. When that happens, it triggers software that orders from your supplier. Normally, this is a Chinese supplier from places like AliExpress. The customer doesn't see any of this. Instead, they make a payment at your website and start to wait for the product they ordered. Your website, on the other hand, automatically places their order to your supplier in China. The Chinese supplier then ships the order directly to your customer. It doesn't even pass through your hands. How nifty is that? You don't have to worry about warehousing, inventory handling, or most other fulfillment headaches. If there are any problems, exchanges and refunds are very easy. How come? Normally, the difference between the price drop shippers charge to customers in the United States and Canada is so big that they can absorb quite a bit of losses. How to get started as an online seller. There are 2 ways you can set up an online store. You can use a dedicated store using WordPress and WooCommerce. You can use a plugin to import products from your supplier at AliExpress. Personally, I would use a simpler option. I would use Shopify. Shopify is awesome because all the hosting is taken care of. You don't have to host your own online store. You can bet that its hosting infrastructure is safe and powerful. You don't have to worry about your website going offline. Also, Shopify supports all sorts of plugins, the most important being Oberlo. Oberlo works closely with AliExpress. So, when you do a search on Oberlo, you can find all sorts of products on AliExpress. Just select them with your browser and Oberlo will automatically populate your Shopify store with these products. Also, Oberlo will automate the ordering system. This is what sealed the deal for me. When somebody goes to my store and buys a product, the payment is processed through Shopify and my PayPal account is credited. At the same time, Oberlo will take the order details of that transaction and send it automatically to my source at AliExpress. My PayPal is then automatically charged, and I keep the difference. Get an online job as a virtual assistant. In the United States and elsewhere, there are huge numbers of companies that are discovering the power of a distributed workforce. Now, a lot of these companies are startups that have a purely online business. Maybe they have online stores, or they offer some sort of software service available through the web. However, interestingly enough, an increasing number of offline businesses are also turning to the internet for specialized virtual assistant services to help them find new customers, take care of digital paperwork, or do some logistical work like managing appointments, researching clients, and similar tasks. Accordingly, there is a strong demand for virtual assistants. Senior citizens can take advantage of this growing demand. This is especially true of individuals who have worked at an office before. Maybe you were an administrator, or maybe you assisted executives, or you just know your way around an office environment. The tasks involved. Virtual assistants usually just handle administrative tasks. This includes answering emails, scheduling appointments, going to travel websites and buying tickets for executives, as well as setting up all sorts of travel arrangements. Essential requirements. In terms of character traits, you need to be able to work under pressure. The pressure normally comes in the form of a deadline. You also have to have solid critical thinking skills, and you have to be a self-starter. This means you don't require somebody to look over your shoulder. Your boss doesn't have to shake your cage so you can get motivated to work. At the very least, you must be able to deliver what's expected of you at the expected time. Finally, you have to have solid English communication skills. This can't be emphasized enough. You have to write and document what you did for your employer. Now, a lot of times, this is taken care of by project management software. You're given a series of assignments and you just plug in what you did and at what time and you are done. Well, it all depends on the setup. Some virtual assistant arrangements are more informal than others, while others require specialized tracking software. In fact, some virtual assistant jobs have a status check software installed on your computer. This enables your employer, with your full legal permission, to check your screen at any given time within the block of time you agreed to work. This will let them know if you're playing online poker or messing around online or actually doing the work they pay you for. Different arrangements. What I would suggest is you try to get a virtual assistant project that pays based on outcome instead of time. The problem with working on a time-based basis is that it feels like you're working at an office. Sure, you're working from the comfort and convenience of your home, but your time is severely restricted. This is made worse when your boss can check your status by checking your screen. By shifting to an outcome-based arrangement, your boss will pay you for results. The results are pretty straightforward in a typical virtual assistant arrangement. Either you set up the appointment, either you looked up the clients and made contact, or you didn't. Either you booked tickets or not. These either-or situations can easily be documented. This way, you don't have to constantly watch over your shoulder and have to worry about some sort of virtual surveillance by your employer. You only need to send them the right reports at the right time. They can verify them, they can double-check them, and once everything checks out, you can then move on to the next task. Of course, this is not always possible. So make sure you look at the project details before signing up for a virtual assistant job. These details do vary from employer to employer. Business consulting. If you were instrumental in growing a company in whatever capacity, you can choose to become a business consultant. Business consultants earn quite a bit of money because people are looking for their experience. You can give out advice. You can start up through crucial stages of its development. You can offer coaching services. There are so many ways you can offer your business consultant services. It all boils down to how much knowledge you have. Freelance versus publishers. The big factor to consider if you're thinking of becoming an online business consultant really boils down to delivery. Usually when people think of consulting, they think of somebody who physically shows up, talks to certain people, and then comes up with some sort of report. The company is supposed to read through this report and change their business practices based on the recommendations. Online business consulting is slightly different. Basically, you send out questionnaires and you then come up with a final report which you email to your client. But that's just one way of doing things. That is the one-to-one type of consulting. Basically, you deal with a specific business based on its merits and then you send out the specific consultation report. There's another way you can make money as a business consultant. You can basically have people fill out the same questionnaire. But depending on their answers, you can send out canned or pre-written recommendations. The great thing about this is you work once, but you make money many times over. How come? You wrote the recommendations once. The only work that you're doing is to read the questionnaire and see which type of report to send to which client. The drawbacks of one-to-one consultation. It's very easy to think that the best way to become a business consultant is for people to get in touch with you via Skype and you just talk to them. The better approach would be to just come up with a canned or pre-recorded or pre-written product that governs many different common issues. You then send it out and then the customer can customize their implementation of your advice. You can then set up a one-to-one consultation for something more specific. This enables you to make more money and it also helps you qualify your customer base.